Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of The Expendable Show. I'm your host, The Expendable. If you like my show, like, subscribe, and ding the bell. That's how I know if I'm popular or not. Usually I'm not, but it's okay. So we have a lot to cover today, and there's not really a lot of news stories. I mean, I could cover a lot because we've got wildfires going off in South Carolina and North Carolina. Myrtle Beach is on fire, which is horrible. Hopefully they get that under control. But we have the biggest news of the week, which is Trump's meeting with Zelensky. So I'm sure most of America has watched it because it's the biggest story of the week. And me personally, we'll go over it and then I'll tell you what my personal feelings are. So during this meeting, Trump accused Zelensky of disrespecting the United States during their meeting, and this was on Friday, and said the Ukrainian leader was not ready to secure peace for his country. And we'll go into why. So Trump went on to say, I have determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace. If America is involved, Zelensky's not ready for peace if America is involved because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. Trump said in Truth Social, that's what he said, don't want an advantage. I want peace. He just disrespected the United States of America and its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he's ready for peace. I agree with that. If the liberals watched the video different than what the conservatives did. So it just depends on what side of the aisle you sit on as to how you view this video. After Zelensky said that Russian President Vladimir Putin couldn't be trusted and had breached other agreements, Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance accused Zelensky of not being grateful for the support the U.S. has provided over the years and said the Ukrainian leader was in a bad position at the negotiation tables. We'll break this down all the way after I get done with all the quotes, the billion quotes that go with this. Trump told he's like, you're playing cards and you're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling, he said, repeated, or you're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. After Vance told Zelensky that Ukraine had manpower and military recruiting problems, Zelensky said, that war means everybody has problems, even you, and that the U.S. would feel the war in the future. And like you can see Trump's face after Zelensky said that. Trump instantly got pissed because he's telling Zelensky suggesting that he's going to dictate how we feel. So Trump took that personally. And so Trump goes, don't tell us what we're going to feel. And he said, we're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel. And I thought that was a classic moment of Donald Trump. It was funny. And then Trump went on to say, you're in no position to dictate that. Remember, you're not going to dictate it. Vance and Zelensky then sparred. Vance asked if Zelensky had ever said thank you once this entire meeting. Zelensky then said, I said, why are you speaking so loudly? And Trump was like, that's how he speaks. I've got a whole take. I got a whole take on this, but it's funny. It's funny. Hold on. Shauna's jumping in. Let me plug her in.
Looks like that it works.
Go away. That's my bougie photo for today.
Shauna's kids, welcome. So today we're talking about the Trump-Zelensky meeting, which is epic. And so I've been going down through some of the things that were said. But anyway, I'll go back to that one. So Zelensky told told Vance, asked him why he was speaking so loudly, and Trump was like, "That's how he speaks." and then Trump said, "Hey, you guys are in big trouble." Let me scroll. Then Trump said, "Wait a minute. No, you've done a lot of talking," because Zelensky kept trying to interrupt him. So Trump was like, "Wait, you've done a lot of talking. Your country's in big trouble, and we're trying to fix it." And then when he was asked if he believed Trump was on Ukraine's side, Zelensky told reporters at the Oval Office he believed the U.S. was on Ukraine's side, and reiterated the importance of stopping the aggression from Putin. Zelensky emphasized the importance of Europe's assistance during the conflict with Russia, prompting Trump to interject and claim that U.S. contributions were more significant than Europe's. But Zelensky pushed back and said that wasn't true. The exact numbers on financial assistance to Ukraine, it depends on who you're seeing it from. But Congress has appropriated $175 billion since 2022 for aid to the Ukraine, according to the Council of Foreign Relations. Now, we know that Zelensky has gone out on the Ukraine public news and has stated that he only received like 77 billion of that money. It would have been nice if a reporter would have said, "Hey, Zelensky, where do you think the rest of that money went?" It would have been nice if some reporter would have grew a pair of balls and asked that question. After leaving the White House, Zelensky issued a social media post on X expressing gratitude to the U.S. for its support. So there he decided to thank the United States after he left. Here's exactly what he said. He said, "Thank you, America. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the visit. Thank you, President of the United States, Congress, and the American people. Ukraine needs just and lasting peace, and we are working exactly for that." So this is still on Friday. Zelensky did get kicked out of the White House. The White House won't admit it, but Trump did kind of hint at that they told him to leave the White House. Trump, when they asked him about it, Trump said, "I think you know the answer to that." Trump said, "I just want to get the deal done. And if the deal happens, good. But you can't embolden somebody that does not have the cards. We're going to get the war done, or let them go see what happens. Let them find out." So that's basically Trump saying, "Look, we can either get this war done, or you can go fuck around and find out." And that shows who's holding the cards. So Zelensky can't come into our Oval Office and make demands of the American taxpayer dollar and expect it to go his way. For one, his staffers, Zelensky's staffers should have probably like sat him down and said, "Hey, Trump's not gonna respond well to this. We should try a different strategy." Because Trump wants this war to end, period, right now. And because this isn't good for anybody, this war shouldn't have happened in the first place. So Trump's trying to get this to stop. So Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, on Saturday, kind of chimed in. He was on, I think he was on Laura Ingraham. No, he wasn't. He was on one of the channels. But he stated that the Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky had already twice refused to sign a minerals deal with the United States. That's what this whole deal is about. It's about, hey, we'll help fund the rebuild of Ukraine if you give us natural resource access for minerals. And there's some conflicting data out there about that. So it depends on where you look. I've seen some reports where these mineralogists say, "Oh, there's not really a whole lot under the ground there." But then I've seen reports where these guys are like, "Yeah, there's a lot under there." Personally, I've been hearing this for over 15 years that Ukraine has massive amounts of mineral resources under their ground. So I tend to believe that it's there. And why would, if it's not there, if we know it's not there, then why would Trump make this deal? It doesn't make any sense. if there's nothing there, we would demand that they pay it back in other ways like cash. Hey, you owe us the cash then. But he's asking for mineral resources. So it makes me believe that Trump's very positive that there's precious metals underneath the ground in Ukraine. But going back to Scott Bessent, so he went on to say that this has to be one of the greatest diplomatic mishaps of all time by President Zelensky. Yeah, it was Laura Ingraham that he was on. Then Bessent went on and explained that Zelensky told him
Trump didn't have any class with holding that meeting.
Well, see, what the media is not telling you is that the two talked before they went out there. So they had a closed door meeting, and the argument had started in the Oval Office before the media was invited in. So that's what kind of transpired. The tensions were already high before the press was let in. But Bessent explained that Zelensky told him during a meeting in Kiev that he would not sign a mineral deal, which would exchange billions of dollars in U.S. aid funding for rare earth minerals and other resources. So Scott Bessent, if you guys haven't been paying attention to him, you need to pay attention to him. This guy is good at what he does. He's going to get our economy rolling. He knows what he's doing. And for those of you in the LGBTQ plus community, he is openly gay, the highest ranking gay person that's ever been in office. So there you go. He should be your flag person. So Zelensky also refused to close the deal with Vice President J.D. Vance beforehand, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. So there's been efforts. This effort's been going on for a while to try to get this deal done. And Zelensky just doesn't want to cooperate. He doesn't want this. Zelensky doesn't want this war to end because he knows the money train ends. He knows he's in jeopardy of losing the money train from the United States. So what he's doing now is he's going over and he's catering to Europe. So we'll get into that here in a second. So Bessent also went out on the stage. He said, "Today I was shocked that he would behave like this on camera in front of the world." On X, Senator Eric Schmidt from Missouri, he made some posts. He said Zelensky could have signed the deal 5 days earlier, but wanted to come to the White House. He had been difficult to deal with for 2 weeks, yet he wanted the White House meeting. Trump was upbeat about it, even just the day before, publicly and privately the day of, although he could have reset the whole thing. Zelensky was antagonistic and over the top. So he's been antagonizing Trump for a few weeks. That's led up to that. So I think, well, let me finish the quote. So Schmidt went on to say he had a 1 foot putt, but was more interested in litigating issues that should be discussed behind closed doors. So there you go, Shauna. That's what Schmidt's basically saying. Like they wanted to make this deal behind closed doors and then come out and make a press conference of the success. But Zelensky didn't want to play. He didn't want to play in Trump's hand. So he waited, and then he threw it. He just kind of threw the issue out there in front of the cameras, trying to cater to the left, because that's what this is all about. Zelensky is mad because the left is not in power anymore, and he had power under the left. The left was giving him everything he wanted. So he wanted to throw that out there so the left would put pressure on Trump to start giving money to Ukraine again, which he's an idiot because that's not going to work. You're not going to, force Trump to, just drop what he's doing and do business because the left's mad. Trump prides himself on pissing off the liberals. So then Zelensky goes over and meets with Keir Starmer in England, he's the Prime Minister of England. So he got money out of Britain. So Britain agreed to grant Zelensky and the Ukraine $2.84 billion loan for military assets, according to the Associated Press. So he went over there. Britain was ready to just hand him over because we all know that Britain's being run by a bunch of socialists now, which is why their people are uprising all the time. Starmer told Zelensky when he greeted him, he said, "Well, let me just say that you're very, very welcome here on Downing Street And as you heard from the cheers on the street outside, you have full backing across the United Kingdom, and we stand with you, with Ukraine, for as long as it may take. So that's basically, Europe is going to continue to try to fund this war. However, Europe knows that they don't want to fund the war. They're going to, because they want a piece of the Ukraine pie. But they don't want to spend the money. They want the United States to spend the money. That's how this all works all the time. We don't want to spend it. Let the United States spend it. So this is the problem. Europe is always using us for their agendas. And we're going to get into some of the things that Elon Musk has said here in a second. Zelenskyy is also going to be meeting with King Charles here pretty soon, which Donald Trump was also invited to go meet with King Charles. If I'm Donald Trump, I'm declining the invitation. And that would send a clear message to Europe. Like, I'm not playing. I'm not playing your game. You're not going to try to come over here and honey dick me to do what your oligarchy has been trying to do for decades, is try to puppeteer the world. You're not doing it. If it doesn't benefit the United States, we're not doing it. So there's a lot of politicking going on over the Ukraine right now. But then it comes around this morning, Zelenskyy made an announcement that said he will be signing an agreement with the United States to trade minerals for aid. So why go through that whole stink if you're just going to turn around and give Trump what he wants? Because it was all for show. We have to remember, Zelensky's an actor. That's what he's known for in Ukraine. He's an actor. So he's putting on a show. Now, Trump knew he was going to put on a show, so Trump baited him. So when you watch the video, Zelenskyy started to get into it with JD Vance. Okay. And so in my opinion, Trump did exactly what I would want him to do. He went to bat for his vice president. He had JD Vance's back. And then when Trump did that, then JD Vance had Trump's back. That's exactly how your president and vice president is supposed to work. And we have not seen that. We have seen very, very poor president-vice president relations. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden didn't even like each other. They hardly were ever together unless they were doing events they had to be at. But you never would have saw Kamala stick up for Joe or Joe stick up for Kamala. They never did it. Hey, there's G, bro. So we have these kind of the setup to this. And Trump knows that if the United States steps away from this whole Ukraine thing, and he's prepared to do that Europe will step up their game, and Europe will put boots on the ground in Ukraine, which will then in turn start World War III. Trump knows that. That's why he's saying you're trying to start World War III. Volodymyr Zelenskyy is not worth starting World War III. Absolutely not. This country is so corrupt. That's why nobody will give them membership in anything. But we're supposed to put our necks out for these guys? Absolutely not. And Europe's ready to go down with the ship. So it just blows my mind a little bit as to why this is all happening. Trump's trying to play his cards right. So if you watch liberal left media, they're like, oh, Trump clearly made his decision that he's for Russia. That's not what he's saying. Donald Trump is trying to go meet with Russia and Saudi Arabia, try to say, hey, what is there a deal we can work out here? Can we work a deal out? And then he went and talked to Zelenskyy. He didn't invite Putin to that meeting. And that's what Zelenskyy was crying about. He's like, why didn't I get invited to Saudi Arabia? Well, because you weren't needed there. You were going to complicate things because you're not ready for peace. And so that's when, Trump tried to negotiate with him in Washington. Then we've seen Zelenskyy still not ready for peace. How can you sit a guy down at the table if he's just going to piss off Putin and say, oh, I want this, and I want this? He's going to ask for ridiculous things in that negotiations. So he needs to stay out of the negotiations. On top of that, if this was really a dire situation, why wasn't Joe Biden sitting in that chair that Donald Trump's sitting in? Why wasn't Joe Biden trying to negotiate these peace deals? Because he didn't want it. It was a funneling system, and everybody got rich except the Ukrainian people. The Ukrainian people get to suffer while the bureaucrats and the autocrats and the oligarchies of the American Euro system continue to make money off of American taxpayers, off of the blood, sweat, and tears of Americans. And that's what Trump is trying to stop. He's trying to stop the money train that goes to Ukrainian wealth and European wealth and private military contractors' wealth. Everybody was making money off of this at the expense of American taxpayers. This is a scam. Everybody knows it. Yes, Putin is not the greatest human being on earth. We know that. But what I do know is, militarily, strategically speaking, that Vladimir Putin could have ended this at any minute. All he wanted to do was liberate eastern part of the Ukraine, which is what that part of Ukraine is asking for. They want to be liberated from Ukraine. They don't want to be part of the Kiev governmental system, because that Kiev has done nothing but oppress the eastern part of the Ukraine. So all Putin is asking is that he allow that eastern part of the Ukraine to be self-sufficient apart from the Ukrainian government. Now, I don't think that's that big of a deal. I think that that's pretty civil. Now, Zelenskyy doesn't want to get rid of that part of the Ukraine because there's something valuable there that he wants, obviously. Which, if you look at some of the mineral maps that are there, there's a lot of minerals underneath the eastern part of the Ukraine. So I would be willing to bet that that's what this whole thing is about. Because if you look at the world's focus right now, everybody's going after earth minerals. It's the most valuable thing on this planet right now. And the fact that every corner of the globe has made this their focus tells me that maybe either monetary systems aren't going to do so well in the near future, or they're going to use rare earth minerals to back crypto, which I think could potentially happen. I'm looking at a truth about crypto that Donald Trump just posted. So crypto is going to be a big part of the future. Now, I don't think they have enough. There's not enough actual backing for crypto yet. But I think they're going to try to do it, and they're going to do it with earth minerals. They're going to create that value. Trump just announced he wants to create a U.S. crypto reserve. So that's what I think is happening. I think everybody's jockeying around. Now, right now, China mines more earth minerals than the United States times 2. So that is an issue too. Trump's trying to get ahead of this mineral push. He made a deal with Congo. He made a deal with South Africa on minerals. Now he's trying to get this deal with the Ukraine. He's trying to catch up with China, because what happens is earth minerals, if you control a lot of earth minerals, you're going to control a lot of the technology, because a lot of the technology we use, and as it vastly expands in the next 10 years, we're going to need those minerals. So that's going to be key. And Trump knows that. And China has known it. They've been digging this stuff up for way before we have. So they know what's coming, and they're ahead of us, and Trump's trying to catch up. Now, in my opinion, I think Zelenskyy needed this little shellacking on TV. I think Trump needed to put his foot down and show dominance over this tyrant who's clearly a dictator, who suppresses his media, suppresses everybody. And don't forget about what's that guy, Gonzalo Lira, the American journalist who was digging into the Ukraine over there in 2022. And they arrested him, and then they let him out. Then they arrested him again because he was digging into the corruption in Ukraine. And then magically they tortured him and killed him in the prison. That's the type of Zelenskyy that these lefties don't see. That if you go against him, he's going to kill you. He has a hit list out there with several people on it. Like, this guy, we can't trust him. He's out there massacring people. And that's wrong. We shouldn't really be doing business with people like that. And my dad just brought up, he said, don't wear your PJs to the Oval Office. I agree with that. Like, you're meeting the leader of the free world. Put a damn suit on. Like, come on. Like, this is not hard. It's not hard. We get it. And then the liberals were like, oh, he can't wear a suit. What would you wear a suit if you were on the front lines with your people? That dude doesn't know what the front lines looks like. All he does is fly around and do events and fundraisers for his country. This dude doesn't know what the front lines is. If you go watch the videos of the soldiers on the front lines, they don't know where their money's at. They're like, we don't see the updated ammunitions. We don't see the food. We don't see the things that we need to fight this war. That's why we're getting our ass kicked. And so Zelenskyy even admitted it during the meeting. Hey, we're losing the war. Okay, now at least you're being honest about that you're losing the war, because you've been running around telling everybody how valiantly and how successful your campaigns are, and they're not. You're losing the war badly, bigly. You're losing the war ever so bigly. And we need to come to that reality, because we can't successfully help you if you're spewing propaganda to the ladder. It's not going to work. And this has to stop. We can't do business with Ukraine that way. If it was me, and I know Trump's a better man than I would have shut him off. That's what I would have done. I would have shut Zelenskyy off. I would have told him, like, hey, bro, I'm done. Sit down. You announce to the world that you are at peace and that you're going to do what we want, or go let Europe help you, because I'm not helping. But that's how I do things. You play by my rules or you're out. So, and I think Trump's coming to that conclusion. I think the United States has had enough of this little weasel Zelenskyy. And for one, he's supposed to be a famous comedian. That dude's not funny at all. Zelensky's not even funny. He hasn't said one joke since he's been in office. Or if he has, it's not funny. So that's that. Now, I think there's a bigger, if you watch the people so TikTok, the good thing about TikTok is you can watch videos from people from all over the world. I've seen Ukrainian videos from the eastern part of the Ukraine, people talking about the war. I've seen videos from Western Russia that are on the Ukrainian border. One thing, they both say the same thing, that Russia wants to look out for the eastern Ukraine. Eastern Ukraine wants to break away from Ukraine. Let them do it. That's what they want. Just let them do it, and war over. Putin will go home. If they liberate that part of Ukraine, Putin will go home. War over. What is Zelenskyy? Poroshenko was bombing that part of the Ukraine, and that's what they don't tell you in the media. Is Barack Obama started this war in the first place by starting a coup with the CIA to go in and unseat the pro-Russia president and install pro-U.S. president Viktor Poroshenko. And then when Poroshenko was done being president, then they installed this moron, Volodymyr Zelenskyy. So this is a very, very simple concept that a lot of people just don't want to believe. This is the United States of America is the reason why this war started, period. The United States of America is the reason why this war went on to keep going on. And now the United States of America is trying to stop this war that we started. That's a fact. It upsets me because there's the amount of people that are ignorant to the truth of the matter is astounding. Even Jeffrey Sachs came out and said the same exact thing, except he stretches the war back to 1990 and blames it on the Clinton administration. So that there's a lot more to this story than Russia invaded Ukraine. There's way more to the story, but your CNNs and your MSNBCs don't want to report those things because it doesn't fit their anti-Trump narrative. When Biden was in office, it was they painted a pro-Ukraine picture that made Biden look good. Like, oh, we got to keep funding these guys. We're going to keep helping liberate them from the evil dictator Putin. But when the facts come out, you realize that Ukraine's full of corrupt politicians. Their generals should not have mansions in the United States, President Trump. We should be seizing their assets. Zelenskyy should not have a mansion in Miami. We should be seizing his assets. So what's this war really about? What is really happening? So we need to stop the war, for one. America caused the war because Barack Obama did. Obama was trying to backdoor Russia. So Obama was going after the earth minerals as well. So he didn't do anything different than what Trump's trying to do. The difference is Obama tried to start a coup to backdoor Russia to get to those minerals. President Trump's doing the same thing, except he's doing it up front and in front of your face and saying, hey, we want those minerals. And he's doing it the legal way. Hey, let's make a deal. Let's make a deal for that. So it's no different, except one did it illegally and the other one did it legally. So, I mean, we can sit here, but the liberal left is never going to blame the person that needs blamed. They're never going to accept that Trump is actually right on this one. This whole war is about earth minerals. It's not about right and wrong. It's about earth minerals. It's also about liberating Eastern Ukraine. We know that China leads the earth mineral mining race. Trump's trying to catch up. He knows that China is our number one adversary. He's trying to get brought neck and neck with China or to pull ahead. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. TikTok royalty is in the house. What's up, Queen? So you have these things of this earth mineral battle is going on. And Zelenskyy is a problem. He's standing in the way. He knows that he needs to keep his extortion going, extort everybody who will let him extort him. But the problem is Trump has cut that off. He said, look, you're not going to tell the United States what to do. We're the deal makers, not you. And you're going to do things the way that I want them done and the way that the American taxpayers will benefit from it, not the way that Ukrainians will benefit from it. So this is a big thing. It's a big deal. And I want to see Trump be successful. He's getting a lot of pushback from the left. He's getting a lot of pushback from Europe, obviously. Now, now this whole invitation when Keir Starmer was in Washington and handed Trump the invitation to a personal invitation to to go visit King Charles. Like I said, if it was me, I'm going to do what Nancy Pelosi did to my speech, and I'm just going to tear it up right there in front of the cameras and make a big whole thing about it. But I'm petty like that, so I'm not going to do that. Or I would do that, but Trump's not going to do that. But I hope he does go. But at the same time, I want him to stiff the king. I really want to put some division in between. Trump needs to go over there and make sure that he is still showing that America is the leaders of the world. I don't care if you have the title of king. That crown doesn't mean anything to the United States. There's a reason why George Washington declined that crown 3 times. It's because we don't carry it. Don't carry any weight on this soil. So I want to see that go further. I want to see Trump go over there and establish dominance over England if he does decide to go meet with King Charles, which I think he will, because there's a lot to gain from that. He gets to, go over there and really set that standard and say, look, we're not budging. So this is what you can expect. The United States of America is going to do what the United States of America does to benefit the American taxpayer. So I'm seeing that. And the problem is going to be the left. You're already seeing all these pro-Ukraine protests. Do they ever run out of protesters? Does the left run out of protesters? I have a tough time with that, because it seems like every time I turn around, they're representing another country out in the streets. Like, when is it? Can they do one protest where it's nothing but American flags? I would like to see that one. I dare you to do an American flag protest. Like, just go out there and say, if you're not America, then get out. Do that protest, because I've seen every other country's flag on our streets except the American flag. From the left, at least. From the right, you see it all the time. It's the only flag we want to carry. I'm waiting. We're gonna see the British flag next. We're gonna be hailing the king before long. So moving on, I've got one more topic I want to discuss to kind of finish up the show, and it's significant. So Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan. Okay, so I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan. I'm a huge Elon Musk fan. So I'm just gonna play the clip, and I stole this from Alex Jones's X page. So Alex Jones is another one of my guys. I like him too, even though he's in debt like $1 billion, but that's okay. Let me get. Oh, I gotta change the format since Shauna's on. Oh my goodness gracious.
Is it the interview you're trying to pull up?
Yeah, I'm trying to anyway. There it is, Alex Jones's beautiful face. Well, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. I hate tech. There we go.
The reason I went so hardcore for Trump was because, to me, this was a fork in the road, a very obvious fork in the road. If they had another 4 years, they would legalize enough illegals in the swing states to make the swing states not swing states. They would be blue states. Then they would win the presidential. They'd win the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They would then make district, DC into a state, maybe Puerto Rico, get 4 extra senators, pack the Supreme Court. So then you'll have the House, Judiciary, Senate, and presidency, all blue. And then they will keep importing more illegals to cement that outcome. Basically what happened in California.
Jesus Christ.
It would have been the end. That's why I went so hardcore for Trump. It was otherwise been the end. And that's why the Democrat machine is so intent on destroying me.
It's just so fast.
I invite people to do their research. The more they do their research, the more they will see that what I'm saying is absolutely true. It's like, just do the research.
That's right. We had to take this fork in the road, not just in America, but world.
All right, so we'll get rid of Alex Jones. We don't need him. But that's a big statement, and it shows you how dire. So Elon Musk takes a lot of criticism from the left, right? So they say, oh, he's trying to take over, he's trying to run the presidency, he's trying to do this, he's trying to do that. But before Elon Musk decided to ride with Trump, name one thing that Elon Musk did that was illegal, questionable, morally inept. I can't find it. All this guy's done is try to create things that advance humanity. That's it. He runs the largest tech operation in the world. If you add X, Tesla, SpaceX. If you add all those things together, that's a lot of tech business right there. So, and then he comes out and he says, hey, we really need to rein in AI. We need to create regulations. If all you cared about was money, why would you try to regulate your own industry? So that's just something that I have a really, really hard time with. And I don't think that a lot of the liberals look at it that way. Obviously they don't, because they think just because you align yourself with Trump, that you're automatically have nefarious reasons. When in reality, when you look at Elon Musk's entire career, he's done nothing but try to advance things for humanity. He's a humanitarian, whether you want to believe it or not. And so when he goes on Joe Rogan and he talks about, hey, I had to make a decision. I was at a fork in the road, and I had to make this decision whether or not, I wanted to, ride this Democrat wave or jump ship and align myself with somebody, who's the better humanitarian between the left and the right. And he chose the right because he sat down with Trump and they talked about their plan, and he thought, well, that fits me better than this like quasi evolutionary socialist system that they were trying to usher in from Klaus Schwab's Fourth Industrial Revolution book. That's what that was all about. And Elon saw it. He's made other comments about that makes me think, well, either he read my book or he sees the same things that I see. He sees the same things that a lot of other people that are awake to it see, that Europe has been trying to kind of put their tentacles in the Democrat Party for decades and decades, and now they're latched in. And this Klaus Schwab agenda, the World Economic Agenda, all these the Rothschilds agendas, all these oligarchs that have been running the world for so long, now they're holding on tight because Trump is threatening their power hold and their existence. Trump is saying that oligarchy's done. New oligarchy is mine, and we're for the American people, not Europe, because the old oligarchy cared nothing about anything except for Europe. Now, so they can say, Trump is an oligarchy. That I'm fine with that. If you want to call Trump the new wave oligarchy, I'm fine with that, because my value system and what I'm seeing come out of the Trump administration, it matches with what I want. So if you want to call freedom of speech and going back to more traditional values and trying to elevate education and trying to elevate the economy and trying to empower people of all races and genders and blah, 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 and put everybody on the same playing field, then I guess that's an awesome oligarchy to me. But when you look at how the old oligarchy was, and Shauna, you could probably speak on this because you're the one who kind of opened my eyes to this, is how the Rockefellers, what was that? I thought something fell off.
Teddy bear. It threw me off too. I was like, what is it? He's throwing his teddy bear.
I've been watching that Elmo balloon video, man. That thing's had me freaked out. I thought maybe you had like an Elmo balloon video thing going. But let's talk about what you talked to me about a while ago, where how these things all started, where the Rockefellers created the education system for
I mean, you go back and we live in Georgia, so like realistically speaking, everything started here. Like the meeting that the Rothschilds and them had. I mean, you can go back into it and say like, oh, Shauna's a conspiracy theorist, but it legitimately, if you read the history, like it started like, what is it? Back, what is it, 18 something, whatever. At the time, it was like 5 prominent families. It was the Rothschilds, it was Rockefellers, and it was J.P. Morgan, and like 2 other big families. But at the time, it was 2 families that were bigger than the Rothschilds, J.P. Morgan, and all of them. I can't remember their names at the moment. I would have to go back and get names so you can look it up. But at the time, those 2 families were like, no, we don't want to do this. We don't want to create this system for the American people. They were against it. They were against like taxing and the whole government, education, banking, all of those things. So just so happened, all of these big prominent families were supposed to get on the Titanic, and they were all supposed to, do the ride on the Titanic. And there was this thing. Now there's speculation that the Titanic just didn't sink because, a lot of people were confused about how it sunk in the first place. How did it hit the iceberg? The captain was a very dressed captain. He had done many trips, so it didn't make sense that he would do something that was dangerous and hit an iceberg and kill all these people. So, it's kind of speculated that he was bought out because Rockefeller, JP Morgan, and the Rothschilds didn't get on the boat. But the other two prominent families did. Obviously, they died. They didn't make it. Fast forward, right after that happened, JP Morgan and Rockefeller bought everything that those two families had. And then all of a sudden, they're having a meeting on Jekyll Island that nobody knows about. It's hush hush. So then that's when you find out about the IRS. So, now we're doing taxes. The education system is born. The medical field is born. All of these things are happening. And then you look at who.
I think the Federal Reserve was born at that time too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like all of those things happen. Like that's that meeting. And it's a book. It's called Jekyll Island. I forgot. I have to go look it up. I'll try to find it. But it's Jekyll Island something. But it describes the meeting that they had, basically setting everything that we have in America today. So
they basically set the education system up to keep us stupid, so that way we're just working their factories.
The education system, the medical system, all of it.
And that goes the same thing with, you go back to the European time, like the medieval times, when they were trying to figure out, they were the one percenters were sitting around and they were going, wait a minute. There's way more common people than there are one percenters. What happens if they uprise? Well, we've got to find.
I like to tell people this too. Fun fact: the term "white people" wasn't a term that wasn't introduced until 1861, I think. So it just gives you everybody was either Negro in some different Negroes. Everybody was different genres of Negroes. But in 1861, all of a sudden, white person was born. So that just puts into perspective the plans that they had to create the division, keep everybody separated. It became a thing. So
that division was born in Europe. It was created in Europe because they had to figure out how to keep people divided so they could keep their wealth. It's the same thing. Everybody across the world is doing the same thing. The one percenters, they go find somebody in the amongst the poor to align themselves with, which in Europe it was the commoner white people, and said, hey, we'll let you have control over these black folks out here, and we'll give you a little bit of power to make you feel like you're doing something, but you listen to us. And so that's when the divisions came. Was in medieval Europe. And then it's just grown and grown and grown over time. And then pretty soon it turned into buying and selling of slaves. And then it migrated over here. And now our government does the same thing to us. How do we get these commoners to stay divided? We'll just keep the game plan going. And that's what they do. They use the race war is not a new concept. This is something that was born centuries ago in Europe.
But it wasn't race. It was social class, and then he decided, you know what, we can because it's only 3 social classes, but you can divide by race. How many races do you have? So you get more.
Yeah. Also, rich people can stay rich. We all fell for it. All of our bloodlines have fallen for it for all these years, and I think that's what Donald Trump represents, to me at least, is the ending of this cancer that's been plaguing humanity for hundreds of years. And I want to see that end. And I just got into an argument with somebody the other day about him getting rid of DEI. What is wrong with getting rid of DEI? Because
I just don't understand it.
well, here's my thing on it. for one, Sean, obviously we work together. We don't hire based off of race. We hire based upon, are you a hard worker? Are you? Well, prove it. If you can't prove it, you can't work here. If you can prove it, you got a job for as long as you want it. I don't care what you look like. So, and I know that maybe our company is a different kind of, different kind of breed of company. We do things a little bit different.
Every job that I've ever had, my track history has always been based off of my work ethic. You can call any of my previous employers and they would tell, we would love to have Shauna back. She was an amazing employee. Like the whole thing is like, it's based off of your work, what you put in. That's what I'm saying. Like every job that I've ever worked at, if I ever wanted to go back, they would be like, oh my God, I would love to have her. She was amazing. So
but put this into perspective though. Let's pretend like it's not an average, everyday, normal job. Let's pretend like it's let's get extreme. Let's say it's a brain surgeon. Let's say we're talking about a brain surgeon and you have somebody who's on the LGBTQ spectrum, applies to be a surgeon, but they were at the bottom of the class when you go look into them. And you're John Hopkins Medical Center. You're one of the top medical centers in the world. And if I'm HR and I see this person walk in the door and then they say, I'm part of the LGBTQ community, I'm automatically going to go, oh, Jesus. Because guess what? Lawsuits don't care what part of anything you're a part of. If you make a mistake, you get sued. If you get sued, the hospital gets sued. So you become a casualty if you're not qualified enough to do your job. If you're not good enough to do your job, I am not going to put an astronaut in space or have somebody work on my space shuttle that's Hispanic just because they're Hispanic. They had better come with credentials. Like, you can be Hispanic and you can work on my space shuttle, but you better be a damn good aerospace engineer. Like, I want the best of the best touching my stuff.
Well, that's just like the guy for the aviation director. Like, you have no prior experience. You can't answer any question. And how did he even make it to this point to even get the interview? Like, that's the whole thing. Like, nowadays, most companies have, like they have the people that vet everything before you even, so they don't have to waste time and money to do all these interviews. So you've literally had people that's supposed to vet these type of people out, so you're not wasting your time. How did he even get sit in a whole board for him to be voted if he's going to be the director or not? Like, it doesn't even make sense. He has no prior experience. How are you even thought of say, okay, he would, this is a good idea? Like, how?
But let's say you're a black woman, Shauna. Hopefully that's what you identify as. But let's say you're a black woman, right? And there's no DEI and everything's merit based. And you go in and you have worked really hard for where you're at. And you apply to be a college professor. And there's no DEI. And they look at you and they go, wow, your resume is impressive. Wow, you have all these accomplishments. You're hired. That should make, knowing that you didn't get hired based off of race or gender, it should make it even more bittersweet for you saying, I didn't get hired because of my race. I got hired because I worked my ass off.
I don't want to work in those environments anyways.
Well, right. I get it. But that was
because
just
it's there, and that's the thing that I don't understand. I had a couple of coworkers ask me that, like, oh, well, you don't feel like that's wrong, and I'm just worried about like certain like groups of people. My whole thing is like, at the end of the day, if you know what you're doing and you're good at your job, that's all it should be based off of anyway. Right. I don't want to work somewhere where they're hiring me because it's like, oh, we got to hire one black person this year. We got to hire one Asian person this year. I don't want to be the person for the status quo, because guess what happens? Right. Everybody's going to have preconceived notions about me and my work ethic. I don't want that. I want you to be able to say, you know what? She's got a really great, strong resume. I think she would be great for the job, and then let me get in there and prove it. That's what I want.
Prove it. That's what I want. I want. So what Trump is trying to do, and this is what liberals won't tell you, is Trump is trying to raise the bar all the way around. So it's not just I'm catering to these people or I'm catering to these people. He's saying, let's get the education system better so everybody can get better. let's create more opportunities so everybody can have more opportunities. He's not just trying to cater to one group of people. He's catering to American people. And liberals want to keep this. We got to keep our classifications because that's modern day segregation, which is what your Democrat Party has been tricking you to believe all these years, is that their new segregation is okay compared to the old segregation. So you can only get jobs as long as you fit a minority, classification. If you're gay, transgender, or whatever.
I'm tired of talking about race. I know who I am. I know I'm a Black woman. Cool.
You're a beautiful American. Beautiful American, Shauna.
Beautiful Black American woman.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
But my thing is, that's me. I don't need nobody to sit here and tell me who I am. I know who I am. So I think we should move on past the race thing. Like, I'm tired of, for me, it's the Black politicians that's constantly bringing up the race issue, and I'm sick of it. Like, we've got to move past the point. Like, okay, we all see who we are. They see who we are. Let's move on.
Right.
Let's talk about some real issues. Can we?
Real stuff.
Yeah.
So you're way better, Shauna. You're way better than the white lady that I had before.
I don't know who she is or what she was. I'm just better at my job.
The white lady, white guy, whatever he was.
I'm just better at my job.
Yeah, you're better. You're better at your job than that other person that no longer works for us.
Mm-hmm. So it don't have nothing to do with that.
Actually, I didn't start. I'm just going to plead the fifth.
There you go.
I was going to tell a story, but I decided not to. There might be litigation involved, so I better stay. Let's just shut up. But I mean, that's where we're at in America. We're in this transition to where things are going to get better for everybody, and I'm excited for it. I'm ready to see people come together. I'm ready to see people move forward together, as opposed to the Biden administration, where they constantly wanted to keep maneuvering people around, and it was just a mess. Well, that is our show for today. Thank you to everybody who showed up. G-Bro Queen, my dad, who always fact checks me on the phone, and we'll be back on Wednesday. I'm sure there's going to be some fireworks this week. I'll guarantee there's going to be fireworks this week. So let's get ready, and I'm out. Peace.